All right, guys. So this is going to connect to our work from yesterday and is going to be revision or a day to revise or start on this final part of your website. So, for those of you that haven't done so already, if you have not gone to pages and then click the plus sign for new page, this right here is going to be the title of this last and final page of your website is Climate Change Real. And this is also going to be the title at the top of this page. And for my background, I ended up just when you do change image, select image, I looked at pictures of the Earth. You could do a search for climate change or global warming. That's really up to you. Climate change is also known to be affecting ice caps melting, natural disasters going on like hurricanes and things. So those might be pictures that relate well to this as well. So I started off my this website or this part of my website with an intro sentence versus an introductory paragraph because on our homepage, we've already talked about what climate change is. The purpose of this part of our website is to include something called counterclaims. And counterclaims is something that an author will include in order to prove something, to argue against something that was already said. So, counterclaims can be used either like a short phrase or even a word can transition into a good counterclaim. So, some of those transition phrases or words might be one might argue, nevertheless, but, however is kind of like the fancy version of the word but. Otherwise, though, yet, in contrast, rather, on the other hand, don't feel like you have to use every single one of these words, but know that these are possible options so that you're not starting your sentences all with the same word. So, my intro sentence for this part of my website was there's some people that may be skeptical or doubtful of climate change and doubt the magnitudes of its effects on our planet. But the fact is, climate change is real, and the time to make change is now. So now we're getting into, I want you to include two claims made by skeptics in this paragraph. So on the doc, is climate change real? All the claims made by skeptics are the ones here in bold. This is the coldest winter we've had in years. So much for global warming. And then below is like the counterclaim proving why the skeptic's comment is incorrect. So I want you to think about choosing two out of the six that you can then follow up with a counterclaim to prove it wrong. So one of them that I decided to include in mine is there's no consensus or agreement among scientists that climate change is real. This is such a false statement. So in order to introduce this, I use the transition phrase many skeptics of climate change argue that. And I kind of got that really from that transition word list, one might argue. And I just changed it a little bit to fit what I needed. So you could use that same transition phrase, one might argue that, or change it up a little bit, and that's fine. And then I just used a direct quote. There's no consensus among scientists that climate change is real. So that's my direct quote, my claim from a skeptic. This next part, then, starting with, however, the vast majority of scientists agree that climate change is real. That's my climate change. And this is, or oh my gosh, that's my counterclaim. Woo, I don't know where my mind's at. And however is the transition word starting that counterclaim. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into my second and my final claim made by a skeptic. Other skeptics, and I need to make that plural, other skeptics argue that Antarctic ice is spreading, not melting. So that's my second claim made by a skeptic. And now I want to follow it up with a counterclaim. So when the wind blows, sea ice, and this is specific to ice in the sea ice is spread out, which may give the appearance that it is increasing. And I actually made a typo here. This should be increasing. When the wind blows, sea ice is spread out, which may give the appearance that it is increasing. In reality, so I'm also following this up, this is still my counterclaim. In reality, land ice is melting extremely fast. Let's see what else they had mentioned here about that. That alarming, and it's driving up sea levels. Ooh, that's important to include. In reality, land ice is melting extremely fast, and in turn, which means like it causes, and in turn has caused sea levels to rise. So this here is my paragraph about my counterclaims and proving skeptics or people that are doubtful about climate change and proving them wrong. So, one of the things that this is more of like a tech thing. If you'd like to choose to include this, awesome. If not, don't worry about it. So, when I click preview up here at the top, and I scroll down, this is something called a carousel. And so rather than choosing a layout, I just did a text box for up top. And then here with the carousel, people can look through at different pictures that prove my ideas or my claims about how climate change is real. Now, that is completely up to you. But if you're interested in that, if you go to insert, scroll down, do image carousel, and you can click the plus sign and you can do as many pictures as you'd like. I only put in 3 so far, but I think I'm going to include more. The only thing to keep in mind is that you need at least 2 images for an image carousel. So just a fun tech thing that you could include on this part of your website. We will be including one more thing on this page of your website and then probably try to finish these up completely, turn in, be finished by either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So if you need help with this today, please let me know. Otherwise, we are almost finished with these.